title of this video is Racism is Not the Root Problem. The root problem to me is not racism. The root problem is the ego. And with all these recent events going on with the protests and the Black Lives Matter and the police brutality and the racism associated with that, I wanted to share my ideas and thoughts to help people gain a better understanding of themselves and this society in general. And what I see is that yes, racism is bad, but it's something that we have been a certain way of thinking that we have been raised, since we were born, is to feel this sense of superiority over others in many different forms, and that's essentially the root issue that needs to be resolved amongst humanity as a whole. So when you talk about meditation it's designed to eliminate this ego, or to at the very least understand this ego, and to clear your mind of thoughts, and to truly be at one with this world, with the society, with people, with nature. So when you talk about ego, is this idea that you feel that you are above other people for whatever reason. So in terms of racism, you feel that you're superior over others because of your race. And clearly people are saying that that's wrong. But this can also transfer into other ways of thinking, and transferring it into something like classism, where you feel that you are better than the next person because you have more money. And some people are born into a certain class, born into riches, so they feel that it's their birthright that they are superior over others who are not born with the same status. And that essentially is the same problem, but just in a different form. And then there's ideas of sexism, where men might feel that they're superior over women because they are just simply men, and that in itself is wrong, a wrong way of thinking as well. And then there's the whole sex, as far as like sexual orientation is concerned, basically feeling that you're better than somebody else because of who you choose to be intimate with. So there's many different issues when it comes to this way of thinking. Another common one is where people that are skinnier think that they're better than people that are obese. People that are healthier think that they're better than people who are not healthy. People that are younger think that they're better than people that are older. So it's this whole comparison mentality that's the main issue, and that is the ego. And that is what the culture has encouraged within our thought processes since we were born. So there's this constant comparison going on in nearly everything that we do, and our whole entire sporting industry is designed to promote that way of thinking. So it's going to be one team, like say the Bears versus the Packers, and then the people in the Bears have their colors, which is orange and blue, orange and navy blue, and then you got the Packers, which is yellow and green. So you got Illinois versus Wisconsin. You have navy blue and orange versus green and yellow. So you have the fans of one city cheering on one team over another. And that competitive mentality of, we are better than you is essentially the root cause of what we call racism. And that root cause is what needs to be, that's what needs to change in order to really make a change for this world. Yes, it's great for people to protest wrong things that happen and to try to make changes in the law, try to get, certain officers, punished for what they've done. And that's great to try to change things in that way. But this is not really something that, in my eyes, is a legal problem. This is more of a spiritual problem where, only the police officers are people, just like we are all people. They are humans, just like people who are not police officers. So essentially the problem is if that people and humans do not improve upon who they are, if they are not spiritually aware, if they are not spiritually developed, then there are going to be problems in any organization that you find. So when humans are spiritually deficient, then you're going to see problems in the police department. You're going to see problems in the court system. You're going to see problems in the fire department. You're going to see problems in the religious, department. There's going to be problems throughout all of society simply because human beings have not advanced in that area of the development. And when you're talking about development and understanding of this ego and elimination of this ego, this is a spiritual problem that we're facing that needs to be understood, and it's something that needs to be developed. People need to be more meditative, less egoistic, less narcissistic, less competitive, and more respectful, more understanding, and just more accepting of one another. So this is something that is a societal problem, and none of us can, honestly say that we don't have something to work on. So this is something where no matter what age you are, you need to work on this. No matter what gender, and no matter what position you are in life, it's this mentality of us versus them. So right now they're talking about, the white versus the black. There's people that are white that are racist towards the blacks. But it doesn't matter if it's Chinese versus Japanese, or black versus Chinese, or white versus the French. It's just the dynamic could always change, because back in the past, talking about the Holocaust, what they were doing to the Jewish, the Nazi Germany, that was wrong, but it didn't have anything to do with blacks. But in that time period, it was the same issue, but just in a different way. And that's essentially what I'm talking about, is that we need to change the way that we see each other, the way that we see the world, and really the way that we live. And we could do that on an individual, personal level. So, if you ask majority of the people out there, everybody's going to say that they're not racist, for the most part. Mostly everybody believes that they are not racist. But, I can almost guarantee that mostly everybody has something that they might feel in a certain way that they have a little bigger pride about, or kind of like an ego about. Like a fit person might make fun of somebody who's not so fit. A smart person will make fun of somebody who's not so smart. A tall person might make fun of somebody who's shorter. One culture might make fun of another culture. A person that practices one religion might make fun of somebody who practices another religion. And that's essentially what I'm saying is the issue, is that our minds are conditioned to feel that we are somehow better than the next person because of whatever attribute that we have. You know, some people, oh, I'm better than you because I make love to this gender and you make love to that gender. I mean, it's like nonstop. It's a disease that needs to be fixed, and it has to come to like a deep realization, like an honesty within yourself that, hey, you know what, this is not right. You know, this is something that I need to fix within myself. You know, as far as how you might judge other people in whatever ways, and it could be a public way that you might shame somebody or judge somebody, or it could just be a private thing where you talk amongst the people close to you, your family, your friends, or it could just be like an inner dialogue, and you see, you notice something like, hey, you know, why do I think that I'm better than this person because of this? It could be something as simple as like what car you drive, you know, what bicycle that you ride, what kind of job that you have, how much money that you make, and essentially this is the issue, you know. And all it is when it comes to racism is just a person just feels like, hey, you know, I'm better than this other race because of my race is superior. And when you talk about like sports, it's not that different, you know, in my eyes, when you say, hey, you know, this basketball team is better than that basketball team, you know. And then people, the problem is they don't know where to draw the line and say that, hey, you know what, you know, it's okay to make fun about this, make fun of somebody about this, but you can't make fun of them because of their race. You can't make fun of them because of, you know, their sexual orientation. You know, you can't make fun of them, you know, because of their gender. You know, like they have like the list of things of the law that says that you can't make fun of people and these things, and then a list of things that you can't make fun of, you know, that you can't make fun of. And then, you know, when the root problem essentially it just boils down to respect for people's differences, respect for different cultures, and just like learning to see things like in a way of where you just treat people like with deep respect, and you try to eliminate this egoness and just try to clear your mind from these thoughts of comparison, you know. And you know, once you decide to get into that game and this ladder game, there's always going to be somebody who's above you and somebody that's below you. And what happens is, the result of racism is that you just basically put down everybody else that you feel that's below you, and then that's when things like this happen. You know, these types of injustices happen. So meditation is essentially just taking yourself out of the ladder and just not being a part of that, and just basically being grounded, not putting people above you and then not putting people below you, but just seeing everybody as equals. And that's not an easy thing to do, but that's essentially what the solution is that you get yourself out of that ladder system. But this culture, this society, the way that we operate, you know, businesses and how we make money and capitalism is based on this ladder system. And because it's based on this ladder system, all our minds are conditioned to think in this way. There's always people better than us, and there's always people that are not as good as us. And then what happens is the people that judge and put down the people below us, these types of problems happen. And it's not just a police department problem. It's not just a white person problem. It's just the way that we think is a human problem. And as I stated, the solution is meditation, getting yourself out of that ladder, and just seeing everything as equal. Like, you might be fit, but it doesn't mean that, hey, you know, that you're necessarily better than the people that aren't fit. It's just that you might be good in this area, and then these other people that might not be as fit, they might be really educated and they might read a lot of books, and then they're better than you in certain areas that you're not good at. So then you see that, hey, you know, there's something that I'm good at, there's something that they're good at, and it's just kind of like an equal balance. But the problem with the ego is it is always trying to assert itself to be better than other people. And because you're better than other people, then you got to start bragging about all these other things that you're so great at, and then all these other things that these people aren't good at. And then it puts you at a feeling that you're so, all of a sudden superior to all these other human beings because of this. And that, to me, is the issue. And that's something that I feel that we're all guilty of. And it's just that through time, the more that we learn, the more that we live, the more that we learn how not to be this way. Because we all have made fun of people before for whatever reason. And essentially, we just have to learn to just not be bullies, to not be arrogant, to not be judgmental, to not be people who abuse their power. And it's easy for people to say, hey, I'm not like this. But the thing is, if you were put in a position of power yourself, would you still be the way that you are? Or would you change and be like these people that you're trying to condemn? And that's the thing that I feel that sometimes people don't truly understand is, they say they are not what they're speaking against. But then once they're put in that position themselves, a lot of people end up changing. Power could put people in a position where now it shows it. Now they have this opportunity to assert who they truly are, and who they were before was just kind of dormant and just kind of in hiding. But then once you put them in a position of power, all of a sudden who they are just comes out. And I think that that's an issue that I see time and time again. And being in a position of power is not an easy position to be in, and it's something that requires an immense amount of responsibility. But the issue is, people in the masses are just not developed in the spiritual realm in order to be responsible enough in which to be in positions of power. But the fact is, we still need people to be in positions of power in which to govern the society. But then there's just not enough people that are spiritually awakened enough in which to be capable in that area. So then they're just selecting people from the masses, and then the masses just aren't ready. And then what happens is they take these positions of power, and these things happen. These injustices and all these horrible things happen. And, there are different ways to make changes. I recognize that protests can work, and speaking out can work, but my approach right now is more of an inner reflection and an inner change. And if we all did this work that we need to do, then the world can change, because it starts within you. So if you change and then everybody else does the same, then the world can be fixed. So I feel that it's an individual thing. Just really looking at yourself and how you treat people, how you think, and really making sure that you yourself and living in a way where you're living by the values of what is the right way. Treating people the right way, treating people with respect, and not judging people in these different things, and placing yourself above other people. And I think, like I said, I think that we all need to work on that, and it's a lifelong work. But the more that you work at it, the better that you get at it, then the more I feel, the more humility that you will have, the more humble you will be, the more respectful, and you just would not, be one of these people that end up doing these crazy things and, being a part of these issues that are happening out there. So I just wanted to talk about that. I feel that it's very important. It's a tough issue to talk about, but at the same time, I think that something like this is necessary for people to look at. And really, I feel that this is the true solution in my eyes. It's not about, hey, making sure that these officers get the death penalty and then things will all be better. Like, that's not gonna make things better. You're just trying to force people to change through fear. But if you change people through understanding, that's a whole different approach. it's like you just have to try to understand why it's not right, you know, to treat people differently because of their skin color, or because of their gender, or because of their level of fitness, or because of their height, or because of the way that they look. You know, like, you have to truly understand, like, why, you know, it's very important that we all treat each other the right way with respect, and that we're kind to each other, and that we're compassionate with each other. Essentially treating each other like we are family, you know, not enemies. But the culture doesn't teach that. It's always like somebody has to lose and somebody has to win. There's no situation where we're just gonna be equal. It's unacceptable to be equal. Somebody has to be on top, somebody has to be on bottom, and that's how they teach us to think. And I say that fundamentally that is not the right way to think, and this way of thinking causes these issues such as racism and classism and sexism and whatever ism that you're talking about. This type of thinking causes this, and we really need to see the deficiencies of this type of thinking, and we need to fix it. And really, meditation is the key into doing that.
I support everything that you said. I wish that there were more people who would really sit and consider this. I feel that there is just not a willingness to grow, or a willingness to gain understanding, or to pay respect to each other in our differences. You know, and that's where we fail as a society. But you know, not only here, but I mean, this occurs around the world, where, you know, for whatever reason, there are groups that feel that they are superior or higher or better than others, and it's just not a willingness to grow, to understand, and then just to pay respect to the differences within humankind. You know, the truth is, if we were all the same, this would be a really boring and unfortunate life experience. Our differences is what makes us unique and what makes life interesting. It's what helps us to grow and to evolve as human beings. And it just saddens my heart to be experiencing what it is that we're experiencing now. Again, because of differences in race, because of differences in social class and economic class, and you know, I agree with my husband 100% that it is a spiritual issue. It's not just about these tangible things, but it is the spirit within each of us. You know, and again, it's the willingness or the lack of willingness to grow in our knowledge of one another, and to come to respect the differences that we have. You know, and I guess the question now is, how do we continue to exist, knowing that there are individuals who will embrace that? They will embrace differences and respect the differences within this beautiful human experience, and then there are those who will not. And how will we begin to navigate through life knowing that it's a fact? So, but I agree that it is definitely in need of spiritual growth, of understanding, and a willingness to be respectful of one another in our differences.
Alright, so I feel, and I hope that everybody can get something out of this video. I think that we all have some progress to grow, and it is we that make this society. And people that might not know, but I was a former police officer, and I got wrongfully terminated because of racial discrimination. And so, you know, but my work in myself puts me in a position where I can be the best of who I can be of whatever profession I am. So if you work on yourself, then if you choose to be a police officer or a firefighter or a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, then whatever energy that you put into that field, you will make that field better. So essentially what we need to do is just better who we are, and then we'll make the world better. You know, rather than saying, hey, you know, they have to change, I say that we need to change as human beings, you know, change to be better. And it starts with this understanding. And rather than just saying, hey, you know, I have nothing to work on because I'm not racist, so I'm not the problem. They're the problem. I feel that, yes, you know, that's an obvious thing, you know, we're not supposed to be racist. But what about all those other things that I talked about? You know, there's a lot of other issues out there that basically come off of the same mentality of racism. You know, this me versus them. I'm better because of this, because I've done this, I've done that, you know. And then you start putting people below you, stepping on other people in order to get higher up into the ladder. And that, to me, is essentially the issue that needs to be really looked at and resolved. And I feel that that's within all of us, and we each have the power to do that within our own lives. But that's what I wanted to mention, and you know, I hope, you know, that things will get better and that we all evolve as human beings, and you know, we'll do our best to stay positive during this time and just constantly work on growing spiritually and meditatively in our journey within this life. All right, thank you everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.